What's up, everybody? This is going to be a special one here. I usually try to do 2 episodes a week, but it's Father's Day, and so I want to give a Father's Day message to encouragement and to let you know that you're appreciated and that you let you know that your time is valuable. So, some lessons I learned from being a father. First lesson is, you got to be present emotionally, mentally, um, and physically as much as possible. I recognize that everybody can't live with their baby's mother, wife, ex-wife, uh, whatever. Um, and you can't. Everybody's not cut out for that. We get in situationships that turn bad, turn sour for whatever reason, and the relationship doesn't work out. But the relationship with your children should never ever end. And children need fathers. We're growing into this time, into what I perceive to be a very dangerous time, and I'm perceiving that based on this data and statistics. I teach, as I mentioned a number of times, if you follow me, courses in criminal justice, criminology, forensic psychology, and all the data, all the science, all says that fathers are important. And when you don't have them, there can be a disaster. There's also data about the emotional state about women, and how that affects the upbringing of children. So emotionally stable parents are a need, but this is a Father's Day message. So we're going to focus and concentrate on the fathers. Um, Understanding you're not going to be perfect. Understand that as a father, you are not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. Um, you're going to fail, and you're going to fall down, and you are going to miss the mark at times. Uh, it's part of life. It's part of life. I want to Let me just pause here for a minute. I'm going to end this off with what I think to be an encouraging message from a man that I listen to on the internet, BGS Idmore, because I think that he gives uh, a rounding and much needed soliloquy on perseverance and the ability to compete. So unpause, and that's what I want to go next to. Fathers give a sense of competition. Previous video that I did, pretty sure I released it by now, is talking about competition and what that looks like. The Marshawn Lynch video that I did, you should really understand that men, fathers, encourage their children to compete. Encourage their children to compete. So don't be afraid of that. Another idea that I really want to hone in on is that it's never too late to be a father. Your children, you might have missed, due to circumstances, due to not getting along with your child's mother, due to, the court system. All these different factors may have interfered with your child's life in the relationship that you have and that you have established and can build with them. But I want to encourage you to do the best that you can. Send gifts, send presents, send text messages, send video messages, and keep a journal, keep a diary. So that way when they turn 12, 13, 21, 25, 30, you can always say, hey, listen, I tried, and here's the proof, the evidence that I tried. Here's every text message that I sent that was blocked. Here's everything that I did. Here's every child support payment that I made. Here's all of that type of thing. I really think that you should do those types of things, and whenever possible, you should be there. Whenever possible, you should be there to the best of your ability. I recognize that courts often tell children, often tell, fathers, so not courts, but maybe you get a lawyer if you're getting a divorce or something like that, that they tell you not to try because it's going to cost you, thousands of dollars. I do expert testimony work as well. I just had a client who was going through a divorce, and I can't get into too much detail, but he wanted my recommendations about how the situation had went down when the police officers were called to his home. And it's an unfortunate situation. Um, but he had to pay me, and he had to pay other experts, and all this kind of stuff. So it can get pretty expensive to try to get custody and at least try to have it in your life. Have them in your life. I am definitely in favor of 100% 50-50, and of course custody, and of course situations like this. Someone's going to try to prove that the other parent is unfit, but it ought to be automatic. It really ought to be automatic, and the proof ought to any type of proof ought to be uh, as examples and reports of physical mental abuse, police reports, clinical counseling, things along those lines. So those are just some of the things, right? So don't ever give up on trying to be a father. Don't ever, to the best of your ability, don't let um, court battles, bad relationships with your children, do it, or prevent you, bad relationships with the children's mother, prevent you from being the father that they need. We know that Ebony K. Williams, and this is what I started to say before about the times that we're entering into. Anybody who's pays any type of attention to social media, Ebony K. Williams is a lawyer who is fairly prominent, I would say, in the Black community, and she has embarked on this journey to have a baby without the benefit of a father. Don't know what her home situation is like, concerning her extended family, and whether she has cousins or uncles or whatever to give strong male leadership and model strong masculinity and manhood. Um, but I hope that that child does have it. I too think it was extremely selfish. She has to know. She's been on the record talking about. She went on the Breakfast Club a number of times talking about providing for excellence and doing better and stepping up and all this type of stuff. Although I don't believe that she meant it. I think she was kind of backtracking off of the bus driver type of comments. But she has to know that the data says that a father helps a person to succeed, not only financially but also emotionally. Listen, the data's in. It's in, and it's incredibly selfish to want to bring a child into the world, particularly in America, where the nuclear family reigns above the extended family. And when you have that, she's got to understand that she's putting her child at a psychological disadvantage. What happens when the child turns 10, 11, 12 and starts asking where my father was? Why would you bring me to the world without a father? In all this, so I'm definitely in disagreement with the challenges and the things that she has done, but it's her life, and I truly hope that everything works out, and we hope that we can all be wrong, but I think that the Western experiment of nuclear family is trumping everything else. So I think we know pretty much what it takes to raise successful children, given this environment. So those are some of the things that I just wanted to kind of bring to you. And let me leave you off with this, and then we'll get to the master teacher BGS and his rant that I always appreciate when he goes on. I want to end this off with talking about fear. And I know a lot of fathers are very fearful, and men in general are very fearful of the future. I had a conversation with a young man the other day, and talking about failure, missing out, somehow missing the mark, somehow some type of setback. And I told him, and I want to tell you, that setbacks are a part of life. Setbacks are a part of life. Fatherhood, failing, messing up, missing a mark. I don't talk about it a lot. I don't talk about it probably enough. But so the first time I took the sergeant's test, I aced it. I mean, for where I was, I didn't have any seniority points that they would tack on, but I came out fairly high amongst all the individuals who took the test. As I said, it was the first time in history that my particular department had 3 individuals in the top 10 who were in the 3 black individuals who were in the top 10 as far as the as far as the testing process for that for sergeants. I was, you know, I was one of them. Then we get to my lieutenant's test. I probably was right in the high. The sergeant's test thought I was more than I was, and I didn't pass it. And when I say I didn't pass, I didn't fail it, but I didn't score high enough to get promoted. And to my mind, I failed it. Took it again. I can't. No, I'm starting to get old now. I can't remember if I failed it again, or if I passed it the second time. By passing, I mean scoring high enough to get promoted. Still wasn't where I wanted to be. Still not where I wanted to be. And I'm like, man, what's going on? How come how come this and this? So I start to really analyze and start to talk to people and start to, recognize that I need to step my game up here, right? That I can't be on this high horse of where I was before. And so then the captain's test comes along. I take it. I score fairly high, but not high enough. And I was really disappointed because I really wanted it at that time. I missed it by one person. They just need to promote one more person, but they just didn't get to me on the list. So again, I beat myself up. Then I really, really studied, really got myself together. I really got myself together, and I told the story about taking assistant deputy chief test and how I messed that up. And then I got and scored well enough on the captain's test to score high. So those are a series of failures that I had, just a series of them that I had. At one time I was a minister in the church, and I was doing a ministry in the church, right? Sometimes I would have really, really good messages, and sometimes they were just bad. They were just bad, So you go through ups and downs, life changes, and you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to learn from your mistakes, and you have to strive for better, and you have to always be seeking to improve. You're not going to hit a home run. This is what a man, my former assistant pastor, or he's former assistant pastor, then became the pastor of the church, but I had left the church at this time. He's now gone, but he was a good man. He was a good man, and he said, you're not going to hit a home run. He was giving a baseball analogy. You're not going to hit a home run all the time. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going to hit a home run all the time, right? Every time the baseball player gets up the bat, he's not going to hit a home run every single time. And neither are you. You're not going to hit a home run all the time. You're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall. You're going to have moments of disappointments and setbacks. But it's not those setbacks that are the problem. It's your response to those setbacks. Do you do self-analysis? Do you take responsibility for not studying, not preparing? Do you blame other people? I cannot stand, and this is what you need to know as a man, as a father, as a woman, whoever. You need to understand. You need to understand that you need to take accountability for the things that you have control over. I cannot stand when I talk to somebody and they say it's somebody else's fault. That's why I don't like the racism talk. I don't like it in 2024. I didn't like it in 1995 when I became a police officer. I don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear this racism. What did you do? This is something I got from my parents and my family, my family, my grandmother, my aunt. No, we don't want to hear it. We don't. And they grew up in the 60s. They grew up in the 50s. They grew up in the 40s, right? They grew up during World War I and segregation and Jim Crow and all that kind of stuff. But what did you do? That's the first question. We don't hear the teacher don't like me, or the police did this, and the police bunch of racists, and the politicians don't do this. What are you doing? What are you doing? So that's what I'm going to ask. What are you doing to improve your life, to learn from your past mistakes, to improve your relationship, to improve your health? What are you doing? It's not. We can blame the food. We can blame the capitalist society. We can blame the increases of the price of everything, the cost of living, and all that, inflation. But what are you doing to improve, to make things better? What are you doing to improve? So that's a question I really think that everyone really ought to take the time to answer, and take accountability and responsibility for the things that you messed up, and for the things that you made a mistake about, for the things that you could have done better, the things that you could have prepared better for everything that you could have done. What was your role in that? And what could you do? And what did you learn from those mistakes? When my kids were really, really young, I would ask, they would make a mistake, and I would say, okay, well, what did you learn from this? And they would tell me, you're not to put if they spill juice, not to put the juice on the edge of the counter or whatever it was. What did you learn from that? What did you learn from that? So I learned a lot from my fatherhood. I wanted to try to give you the best. It's never too late to be a father. I don't care if your kids are 30. Reach out to them, man. Build that relationship. It's never ever too late. Now they may not want to reach back. That's true. It's true that you may have burned some bridges. It's true that the damage that the other parent may have done may have soured their relationship and their view of you. But that's why you should do things now to try to change that. And listen, tell them, listen, I'm a different person. I made mistakes. I hold my mistakes, but I want a relationship. I want a relationship. So those are just some of the ideas that I want to drop into you, deposit into those things into you today. Fatherhood is about making mistakes, about learning from your mistakes. Life is about making mistakes, owning up to them. Owning up to them. Fatherhood is about being present. Fatherhood is about being emotionally and psychologically and physically present as much as possible. Yes, you have to work. Yes, some people are truckers who are on the road for 2 weeks out the year. Yes, there are people who have to work overtime because you are the primary breadwinner. But you ought to call home, send text messages home. You ought to do something. You ought to bring them gifts. You ought to, and I don't mean elaborate gifts, but hey, just let you know I was thinking about you. Here's a little globe, or here's a keychain from someplace else. Here's a phone call. You check your homework. Do all those things. Go outside in the backyard and play with them. And, I would be tired, dead tired, but we would go outside and we would play baseball and kickball and all this kind of stuff. Other little kids in the neighborhood, and it's really essential that you do those types of things. It's really essential that you do those types of things. They will never ever forget them. So I'm going to leave it off right there. I hope I said something that was really going to be beneficial to you on this Father's Day. I want to wish everyone a good Father's Day who is a father, who has been there, who's doing the work, who is doing the best they can to build up a new generation to replace you, right? As Ultron said, right? The people here who are here to replace us. And the other thing about that is, if you're going to be a father, if you've got children on the way, you want to be one day. I hope that you would listen to this, and you would really be a present father. I didn't have a father. I had to learn from what I saw from other people, a lot of some stuff from sitcoms, and the biggest thing was I just wanted to be the kind of father. I wanted to be the kind of father that I never had. I wanted to be the kind of father that I never had. And I hope that that's your goal. You strive to do that. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make accidents. You're going to have moments of setbacks. You're going to kick yourself. You're going to be too harsh in your punishment. At times, you're going to be too lenient at other times, but don't beat yourself up over that. So all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. If you're going to be a father, take these words of wisdom, look at other people around you. And the most important thing is just be the type of father that either you had or that you wish you had. Be the type of father that you had, or be the type of father that you wish you had. If you got issues, go get them solved before you bring children into this world. We are going to leave this off with a man who I enjoy listening to, BGS Ibmore. He did a rant as I record this. This was just last night, talking about some of the same things that I talk about. This mental block that we often get when we are dealing as in the world as not only men but black men in particular, that we are dealing with the world being against us, but you have to compete. You cannot be afraid of failure. You cannot be afraid to get out there and try and do it. Try and fail. Try and fail. Try and fail. I took the tests and I failed. You tried to drive a car and you failed. You had accidents. You had moments of disappointments. You fell down. You broke your arm. You broke your leg. You broke something else, right? You got a concussion, but you kept trying. It's not about succeeding. It's about learning. It's about the journey. It's about getting yourself up and keep going. That's what it's about. That's what it is about. Without further ado, here's BGS Ibmore Make sure you hit that like button, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you want me to talk about anything, hit me up in the emails. If you have questions, comments, hit me up in email. You want private consultations, hit me up in the email. I am a certified life coach. Um, what else? If you're looking for oh, two more things. I want to do this. I'm going to put this on the screen. This is a symbol. This is an African symbol. I looked up how to pronounce it last night. I can't remember, but I'll look it up. But definitely. But this is I took this as the symbol for my LMH consulting services. This is my symbol for the LMH consulting services. Whenever you see this, that is me. That's my symbol, and that is an African symbol for courage, because it took courage for me to start this business. It took courage for me to go back to school. It took courage for me to do everything. It took courage for me to have children and all that. So I took that and I adopted that as courage. Last thing, I had all this planned out in my mind last night. Last thing, so that's courage. And let me talk about striving for going forward. I told you about how I messed up and everything, but I felt so unfulfilled in my life. I felt so unfulfilled in my life. At the end of my policing career, I had a triple bypass. I was 45 years old, had a triple bypass, and I left the police department because I didn't want to do that anymore. I'm like, I got to get away from the stress and all that. Um, I have a triple bypass, leave the police department, and I feel unfulfilled. I started my consulting company with the logo that I had on the screen, and then what I did was, pandemic hits, and I'm like, man, I feel unfulfilled, and I went back to school and got my degree. So again, we have setbacks, things that are disappointing us. I wanted to be a chief. I wanted to be a police chief. I took a couple of tests for police chief, and by the time that the pandemic had wound down, I'd been flown out to different places, had some interviews and everything like that. But the bottom line was I had been out the game for too long. Right, I've been out the game for too long. Been out of it for too long. So once I started hearing all that, I'm like, oh, let me go back to school and just fulfill something that was going on in my life that I needed, right? Always moving forward, always pressing forward, always striving for more and for excellence. So don't ever be afraid of that. So courage, perseverance, and fatherhood. These are the things that I really want you to know. Really want you to know. Without further ado, here's BGS Ibmore. He's going to tell us about perseverance, the importance of competing, the importance of getting over some of the mental blocks that other individuals have erected for us in our life. Other individuals have erected these types of things in our life, and I hope that you really appreciate it. The message that I had for today. Happy Father's Day to all of you.
Why you guys do that? Why you guys do that to each other? I'm curious, Donnie Gang. Why you guys looking for it? Why you guys do that to each other? I'm curious. Why you get why do you guys do that to each other? Right? Black men have a hard enough time believing themselves as it is. Why you guys do that shit to each other? No, no, no. I don't give a fuck. It's reality. At the end of the day, you have to live. Okay, you have to compete. Okay, we've been competing. Black man has been competing in this goddamn godforsaken country for 300 years, right? And it ain't gonna stop. So what? What's the difference? Compete. Theo, that's the biggest reason that a lot of black guys, a lot of black men, um, have that imposter syndrome or the feeling that they can't take a risk because their mothers, uh, their family, and the United States have told them that you're gonna fuck up, you're gonna fail, your life is gonna be ruined. Okay, that's where it comes from. Okay, they tell you that you're not wanted, that you're gonna go on that white man's job and you're gonna fall flat in your face. They're gonna kick you out. They're gonna actually put you. You're actually gonna be homeless within a couple of months. They put that into your head. So you better stay over here, little boy, and be safe with us. That's where this shit comes from. Okay. That's exactly where it comes from. Trying to kill that in a black man is difficult, right? But the thing is, they have to see it in themselves. You got to jump off the porch, okay? You got to go outside the yard. You got to take risk. And hardest thing to do with a black man is for him to actually take a risk. Invest in something, buy a building, invest in a business, right? Because you have all these strikes against you. A white man can fail 1,000 times, it won't even bat an eye. A black man won't even take a chance because he's scared of failing. It's the fear of failure that's been drilled into your head. When you see a cop, when you go down the street, go to a party, marry out your race, fear of failure, ever drilled into your head. I just saw this shit with when we need to talk, right? He was saying he was basically saying the same stuff. We need to tell them, why is a 16-year-old boy going to a neighborhood to pick up his sister and he got shot, right? This shit happens, right? Okay. We should tell them that they need to be cautious. They need to be afraid. They need to watch out for cops and and thugs and other black men because they're dangerous, right? Okay. You can't trust him. Can't trust your woman. Can't definitely can't trust a white woman. Okay. She ain't gonna do nothing but take your money and leave you destitute, even though they do it. Her family ain't gonna like you. Okay. Well, yada 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 yada. All this fear has been drilled into a black man's head. And sometimes, back in the day when during Jim Crow, some of that shit was valid. Is it still valid? But they still preach it because they they have not updated their thinking. The boy don't need to go to college because they ain't gonna be nothing. Get a trade instead. Use your hands because you ain't got no brains. All that shit is drilled into your head by the culture. Anyhow, let me get out of here. But Theo, I'm actually gonna do a morning talk for you because that is something that that we have to I have to battle that with my kinfolk, man. With especially with the boys, man. This boy need to be babied because he can't learn fast enough. Like my middle grandson, right? He's a little bit autistic, right? So he learns differently, right? Um, he has problems reading, right? With me, okay, I have him reading within minutes, saying words memorizing words he have memorized, right? Within minutes. But the thing is, they're afraid to give them to me because I'm actually a teacher who actually go outside his bounds. They don't like that shit. Okay. I try to send my kids to college when they're 14, 15 years old. Okay. But all the women say they're too young. They can't handle it. They're afraid. I said, because they're gonna fail. So the fuck what if they fail? They come back to high school. Okay? So what? Then they'll know. Oh, I'll fail I don't want to take the test because I'll fail it. So the fuck what? You fail it. You come back, you do it again. I get hired, I get fired from this job. Okay. So what? Come back, get your skill up, and go back into the market again. Okay? You're gonna fail. It's an experiment. You're gonna fail. White people know you're gonna fail. It's an allowance for that. Okay? You're gonna fail. All business people that are actually successful. I failed 100 times. Okay? Tyler Perry. I slept in my car. I failed 100 times. I'm a billionaire now. Failure is part of the equation. But that's not what they teach little black boys. Perfect. There's Dusty. That's his YouTube channel. Failure is nothing but an experiment if you look at it that way. Anyhow, don't be afraid to fail. That's all I can say. If you can't be rich if you're scared to be broke. Very true. Got to get off the porch. Anyhow, let me get out of here.